Hello and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan. I am here with my co-host Josh. It is week 9 and we are doing week 9 injuries this week. Josh, I, I'm I'm not I'm not liking Mandrews being out. I don't like
Neither
it.
do I as a
He's
resident
not
Ravens fan.
he's not officially out yet, but they have listed him as doubtful this week, and I'm
What?
kind of jumping into it. We're not actually talking about the Ravens first. But I just wanted to
No, no,
point
no,
that
no.
out.
This
I'm
is the official
disappointed.
Ravens. This is the official Ravens podcast. Not just kidding. But
Yes, this is
but
a
yeah,
Ravens and Vikings podcast.
I can almost I feel pretty confident in this. I don't care if he plays. Don't play him.
Yeah,
And here's the biggest reason why. And this is why technically this is going to be a Ravens podcast because this is the bad news. Rashod Bateman, unfortunately, the foot got worse during the Tampa Bay game. He has a Liz Frank
Liz
injury.
Frank.
Something
Liz Frank.
is Liz Frank. Okay,
Yeah.
he has a Liz Frank injury that takes him out the entire season. Now, apparently, Ravens kind of knew that going into the trade deadline, and unfortunately, as soon as Claypool was traded for a second, that killed any hope of a trade.
Hmm.
So right now, Ravens are depending on Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, Demarcus Robinson, Isaiah Likely,
Isaiah
Josh
Light. Yeah.
Oliver,
Hmm.
and I would even Deshaun Jackson does come into play now. So that's that's the bad thing. So the fact
Yeah.
is now that there's another game, they literally have a bye week, week 10. I don't expect managers to even suit up at all, pretty much, because I think the Ravens what the Ravens MO is if they get burned by something, they double down and fix it. Like they basically say we can't get embarrassed like that again.
Yeah.
We're just not going to go for it. And so that's what they did last year with the offensive line. And I think next year you'll see the receiver position get upgraded. But as far
For
as the
sure.
meantime, Andrews, I don't expect to play. I start likely. You could
Yeah.
throw Demarcus
Hmm.
Robinson in, but it's the Devin Duvernay show. I actually
And
just made a trade
you
for
called it.
Duvernay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
buddy, you called it. I know, like a couple of weeks ago when he showed up and showed out, you called it. Like this guy's the real deal. He's gonna be something in Baltimore. And I didn't believe it. I was like, maybe. And well, now that Bateman's out and and Mandrews is kind of hurting, he is. He showed up, man. He showed up last week. So, and he was able to fill that role for Bateman. And
yeah.
yeah, and same with Likely. He was a what? Was he third round last year?
Well, he was fourth.
Fourth round. Fourth round. Isaiah Likely took Mandrew's place and kind of ran with it. Like they
Yeah,
obviously that scheme and that offense is built for Mandrews. But Isaiah Likely is a good backup, a good a good replacement for him. Not whole replacement, but a good sub. So
yeah. Well, I mean, this is where this gets very interesting. If you talk about, oh, the passing scheme doesn't work, the offense doesn't work for Lamar, blah 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 blah. I think you don't. Un- they do a lot of the same things the rest of the league is doing. It's just different.
mhm.
Obviously, run game emphasis. That's always been the Ravens culture card. And then instead of obviously going like all in on the receiver position, kind of like for example what Cincinnati or the Steelers did, their number one guy is Mark Andrews, which is exactly, if you
Yeah,
really want to think about it, what Kansas City did. Now, obviously, you could talk about the quality of the receivers, but it's just that thinking is kind of in line with how the rest of the league is going. What
hmm,
makes Isaiah so likely so interesting in this offense
yeah,
is the fact that he is the hybrid. He is the wide receiver tight end. And from how the Ravens offense is built right now, he would have to step up dramatically
Hmm.
for the Ravens offense to produce. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of, well, it's not a matter of could you, it's a matter of you have to.
Yeah, and he
So
does.
that's
He does.
yeah.
So, all right. Now that we're done with that tangent, um, obviously you got from our chat, Mandrews is more than likely out. He's listed as doubtful. So it's not, nobody's counted him out yet. But I'm saying, and so is Josh,
Yeah.
put in Isaiah Likely. I've
Or
already done
even
it in
an
2 weeks. So
and if you can't get Likely, just put in a different tight end, just live with it.
mhm.
It's the Monday night game. So if you
I
try
even
and
put
pray,
I even put Likely in over Ertz.
ooh, interesting.
So because I've seen his target share drop dramatically since D Hop came back.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely confident in his production anymore. And I think, likely is likely is the likely guy
Option
to,
there.
yeah,
I
to
will
make
say
me a winner this week.
I do think Rondale Moore's presence, I think,
Hmm.
uh is what's killing Ertz.
Yeah. Well, I know like there's definitely a correlation between, D Hop coming back and Ertz, because Ertz was getting like
He was getting
eight to
targets. He was
11. I think it was like 8 to 11 targets every game, and then you know after that, here actually let's look at him. Let's look at him. Ertz. So he, yeah, oh my gosh, there you go. So he was getting between 6 and 11 targets over from 4 out of the 5 games the first 6 weeks, or
wow.
four, no, five. Sorry, 5 out of the 6 games. Sorry,
So
and
I mean, if
then the last 2 weeks he got 4 targets and 5 targets. The one
I
redeeming target on last week against Minnesota was the touchdown, and that's it. So,
yeah, I mean, if you really want to think about it, he has been a very nice tight end option.
mhm.
But I mean, we also kind of knew that it would just be a giant shift once
Yep.
not only D Hop came back, but we had to see how Hollywood was going to be in the offense once Rondale Moore got back. And so there
Mhm.
has been quite a few
Yeah,
chess pieces that have been moving.
exactly.
And that's
Yeah,
not
and I
even talking
tried
about
to
Robbie
trade.
Anderson.
Yeah, and yeah, Robbie Anderson getting traded for. So it's all affected him, and I foresaw it. I knew as soon as D Hop got back, that's the biggest piece there on that offense. I knew when he got back, somebody would suffer, and I
Yeah.
tried to trade Ertz like week 6, and I
And
had some nibbles, but nobody wanted to buy at the price that I wanted to get him for, or I wanted to get rid of him for.
yeah.
So I'm stuck with him for the rest of the year, unfortunately. But yeah, all right. Let's go on.
Yeah. So I
Get
mean, we
get to
kind of got
what we came here for.
yeah, all the injuries, and unfortunately there are quite a few, and
Hmm.
we're getting to the point where you have to kind of plan for this, especially
Yep.
like, and this is what I like to say is plan for which team, pivot to the teams that you like so far.
Hmm.
And because where you can just bank on the depth to help produce. So for example, like I personally like the San Francisco's offense. So that's why I usually keep an eye on Ayuk
Yeah.
in case or like I don't mind going with the multiple players on one team because I know all right this offense produces
Yeah.
go after that team because sometimes in a lot of situations it's just the players that good. So
Yeah.
when the backup comes in, it's just not good. We talked about the Ravens already. Well, actually, there's one more on the Ravens we got to talk about, and that's Gus Edwards because he has been listed down as
Hmm.
doubtful. He did have the hamstring injury from the Tampa Bay game,
Yeah.
and that's
I
literally 10 days ago.
yeah, and I don't know if he's going to be in. You know
I
how those hamstring injuries linger. I
Yep,
think Yeah, I don't think it's going to be him. I think Kenyon Drake takes over that backfield,
Yep. It's definitely
or
going to be a
Justice
Kenyon
Hill.
Drake and Justice Hill. So
Yeah,
I would pick up either or, and you'll be okay with that,
yeah,
honestly.
you will be. You will be. Is that it for the Ravens?
That's basically it for the Ravens as
Okay,
far as the big one. So let's
so
go
let's
to the
go.
Cardinals.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go down this list. Really, I mean, we've got Matt Prater. He's not carrying um anything into this game. He's not carrying any status into the game,
So
so he should
he
be
will
good.
probably be okay.
Yeah, he was
I will
limited all
say,
week, so that
yeah.
is concerning. But I don't
I
think
mean,
he'll be
do
out
you know
again.
how old he is?
I
I
know.
mean, you gotta let the man have some. But also, I mean, the injury was a right hip. I'm pretty sure he's a right footed kicker, so that's where
Yeah,
it's like limited. But for how much experience he has in the league, it's going to be okay.
yeah.
I would say
The
the
only other
bigger
fantasy
one,
relevant one is James Conner.
yeah,
Um,
James Conner is the big one. But even then, I already think they're gonna ride Eno a lot more
yeah.
when James Conner comes back or not.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think is going to be more fantasy relevant now. Even even if James Conner
Yeah, I
comes
think he
back.
fits the offense better
Yeah, but
personally.
I think James Conner is going to I think he's going to be on a snap count, either on a
I,
snap count or very limited.
I
So
definitely think snap count, but we're looking at Rodney Hudson, their center being out. We're
mhm,
looking at quite a few O linemen for the Cardinals out as well. So
yeah.
just be mindful of that. Let's see. You want to take over Atlanta?
Yeah, so let's
There's
go on to Atlanta. There's really nobody of fantasy relevance here. It's a lot of
well,
defensive backs. Obviously, AJ Terrell,
a
Jalen
yeah,
Hawkins, Eric Harris. Those three. Hawkins has had 3 full practices. I think he's going to be fine. He carries no
yeah.
designation into the game, so that'll be good having one of your top DBs back.
I will
AJ,
say the big thing is Terrell.
yeah, AJ Terrell got called out, so he is officially out. That was done
And
today.
and we'll talk about this when we talk about the Chargers and why I think this is a big deal because this definitely
Yeah,
opens the door personally for Josh Palmer.
yeah, yeah. So
The other thing
yeah,
about the Falcons is that Cordero Patterson has been activated off the IR, and all reports are basically saying he will be playing against Chargers. So I would slide him right back
yeah.
into your lineup.
Sorry, Caleb
Yeah,
Huntley owners and
yeah,
what's his name?
Algier.
Algier, Tyler Algier.
Yeah, so I
So
mean, but
R.I.P.
that's going to be something interesting to look at too, because eventually Damian Williams has to come back, and I have
Yeah.
no idea what they're going to do with Damian Williams. That's something where I really wonder what they're going to do, because I think Algier has proven to be a good receiving back option, whether
Hmm.
it's on third down or anything like that. So I think he could get some more
Well, and
snaps, but
yeah,
I think he may have the number two spot, but no one there has shown,
yeah,
oh, hey, Cordero uh, doesn't have to be used as much.
yeah. He probably won't be used as much because you saw it last year, and I think it showed early on in this year, with the injury, but they were leaning on him pretty hard, like
Mm-hmm.
very hard, and they need to take relieve some pressure on him or off of him
Yeah.
because that's no running back, especially at his age, because he's not a young buck in the NFL.
He is just a freak
For the
athlete, but he's not a
NFL,
young buck.
yeah, for the NFL, because I know he spent significant time with the Vikings, and then
New
he
England,
hopped
and
around,
then,
and the Bears took him on too.
yeah, Raiders at some
So,
point.
mhm.
So,
So he hopped around the league for a little while before landing in Atlanta. But I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting watching him come back. I think we'll see a different Atlanta Falcons team with him in than how they've acted or how they've run the game the last couple of weeks. So, all right, so we've already gone over the Ravens. We got the
The
Bills
Bills,
coming off of a
which
bye week. So they're
yeah,
all
so
nice and rested.
yeah, nice rested, really, as far as anything interesting. Jordan Poyer is listed as out for the game already, which
Mm,
is the safety for the Bills. But as far as
yeah,
anyone on the Bills offense, nothing too crazy. But I would obviously say Naeem Hines probably going to be on the snap count this week,
yeah.
if he even plays at all.
He might play. They might
He
be anxious to
might.
get him involved. So
Well, they might have to,
who
at
knows?
least for this game. And they play the Jets, so it is a division game.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it for fantasy relevant guys.
Yeah,
Carolina
Carolina
Panthers. Donta Foreman, he was
playing.
listed. Yeah, he was listed on Wednesday as a DMP, but they were just resting him. So he is in. Rashard
He,
Higgins,
he is
which
out with an
not really,
illness.
not really fantasy relevant.
Not not really, honestly.
Not really. But one fantasy relevant individual who was a surprise, um, Chuba Hubbard. So it's looking like Dante Foreman is going to have command of this backfield again this
Going
week.
going up against Cincinnati, that's playing without Jamar Chase,
Yeah.
and that makes things interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, because you saw against the Browns last week. They were not good.
They were not
Not
good, and I don't
good.
think. And this again, this is where I go and say, the whole like scheme is kind of important. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
about
they
that,
yeah, I didn't get to watch the game, but I know that they struggled hardcore, and I was not happy as a Joe Burrow owner. But they
oh,
struggled against
I
them.
bet.
So I'm uh I'm looking forward to hopefully a bounce back this week against the Panthers, but maybe not. Um,
Yeah, and we shall see. The
they
Chicago
Yeah,
Bears, really nothing as
yeah,
far as any
nothing.
fantasy relevance. So we're
Yeah,
pretty good
nothing at
there.
all.
Cincinnati Bengals, obviously Jamar Chase is still out. He DMP'd all week. Um,
Sad face.
yeah.
Same with Awuzie.
Lyle Collins, questionable, but I don't think that matters much either, whether he's playing or not playing. But yeah, that's
A lot of
basically
their
that's
yeah,
basically
just
it.
a lot of their
Trench guys,
defensive, yeah, and trench guys uh are in a little bit of trouble, but they should be fine going up
which is
against the
not good
Panthers.
against a Carolina Panthers O line that's
Hmm.
been running the ball pretty well the last couple weeks.
Oh, yes, I want Donta Foreman to just run all over these, run all over these guys.
Yeah,
So,
so this is the one that I think the next team, I don't know what to do anymore.
ah,
Well, actually, I know what
I
to do.
don't.
I got out of the situation.
You got
And
okay.
that's the
Well, so we're
Detroit
talking about
Lions.
yeah, we're talking about the Lions. So you
Yeah,
hit the eject button on all Lions players, right?
there's only one, and it's going
Okay,
to be Sun God. Sun God is the only
yeah,
one I will go back in for.
gotcha. See, I'm an owner of both Swift and Sun God. I still believe that there's hope for Sun God, and I believe there's a little hope for Swift, but they are not. I don't know if they're being like very hesitant, if they're trying to keep him healthy. I don't know what's going on, but
I mean, they probably don't want to run him into the
Jamal,
ground. And I
yeah,
know that they're, I don't know.
but Williams has been out snapping him and out carrying
Yes.
him for the last
Well, actually,
couple
you want to
weeks.
know what's
I know he's been
funny?
injured, but
You want to know what's
what
funny?
what
Swift outsnapped Jamal Williams last week, and
really?
Jamal Williams got more
Wow, when it
carries just straight
snap
up.
count. I want to see that.
Yeah, look
Because
at. I'm pretty sure.
I thought he got a majority. He
No,
did. Oh my gosh. He had
it.
his snap count was 55%, DeAndre Swift. So yeah,
Yeah, literally
that's
that
crazy.
fact alone is what made me hit the eject button because that's when
That
I
is
went,
crazy.
okay, I can't trust you to get this workhorse
Yeah.
like workload anymore. And I mean, here's this. It unfortunately has been nothing new with Swift, and I
Yeah.
really do think like I think this season just confirmed it for me from a dynasty keeper redraft perspective. If he somehow stays healthy, he is a league winner for you.
Hmm.
But boy, oh boy, you cannot count on him to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna be a 6th round pick for me next year.
Yeah.
Like if he's there in the sixth, I'll take him. But
That far, DeAndre Swift.
well, yeah, because the thing is like you want to talk about someone being injury prone, like that's not injury prone. That's Christian McCaffrey, but someone
Yeah.
that we kind of talk about as being injury prone that is actually injury prone is DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, yeah, yeah, I'd say he is injury prone,
Yeah,
but not entirely. He's missed small parts of the season. Like there was a 4 week stretch where he was injured
yeah.
last
Oh,
year. And now it's been about
I
that same, but he dominated the rest of the year.
yeah,
Absolutely
and that's
dominated.
what's I think like that's what's frustrating. And it's
Yeah.
just because you see the domination going on, but like it's like it can't be a full thing. And I'm actually pulling up past stats from Swift. I just gotta find
Yeah.
them on here.
Well, it's on sleeper.
There we go.
But
There. So like if we go on just even
mm,
based on history, he's only played in 4 games this year.
yeah.
And Detroit has had 8, including a bye week. So that's 5 weeks just gone. He played 13 in 2020 and 13 in 2021. So that's 3 games missed the first year, 4 games missed the next year,
Yeah.
and then now has missed 4 games this year.
Hmm.
And now is at the point where he's led the team in snaps. They Dan Campbell basically said, "Oh hey, I think we gave them the ball too much." Went 5 carries for 6 yards
Hmm.
and was literally saved by a touchdown.
Hmm.
So and especially for me, in the league I had Swift in. I'm 5. I got really lucky last week. I'm 5-3 on the year, and he was my RB3. And I went, my running backs, my receivers are not good. My running backs are great. I can afford to give up Swift and
Yeah.
go use them to upgrade because there's been quite a few running back injuries this year. And so I was able to get an injured Debo for Swift and a couple other players. That them being
Interesting.
Lazard. So the overall trade was Debo and Devin Duvernay, who we just talked about Bateman to
Hmm.
get, and I gave up Swift, Keenan Allen, which that's a whole issue we're about to get into, and Lazard.
Yeah.
So that was the trade for
That
me
was a pretty
where
good
I
haul.
went. I'm gonna just jump ship on Swift. Besides that, I would say let's see,
There's not
Josh
really
Reynolds
anybody
is
on, yeah.
doubtful.
Just yeah, more than likely he's not gonna be playing. I mean,
Yeah, which means
more
it's
than likely.
Sun God or Chark.
Yeah. And Jameson Williams is coming back here in a couple weeks, isn't he?
Is he activated?
No, no, not yet. I think
Hmm.
he's supposed to be coming back.
Let
Let's see.
me double
I
check
was like,
that.
man, we're gonna spend this whole time just like looking.
I
So
mean,
it
we're
says
gonna
at least
have
a
to.
month from return. So he
Okay,
might
if we're
not see it till
saying
the end of the year.
all right, and if that's the case, and depending on how, I mean, he had the ACL tear so late within the college football season, so it kind of makes sense. I would
Yeah.
not be surprised if they're just like, either we're going to rush you back or just don't play at all this year. And I
Mhm.
think the latter is a very high non-zero chance, to be honest with you.
You know,
But if you drafted Jameson Williams, you knew you were punting this year.
mhm. Yeah, but next year he could be a significant fantasy asset if
No,
Jared
he
Goff
he
continues to throw like he has been. Yeah, he's going to be a significant
well,
fantasy
to be
value.
quite honest with you, I think this is the year the Lions take a swing on the quarterback. I think the O line running game, when everything has been on all cylinders, has been
Hmm.
great. And this is where I think you do have to upgrade the QB position. So whether it's CJ
Yeah,
Stroud, Bryce Young, and we'll get into that during the offseason. But I really do think you start getting the true value of some of these Lions players now
yeah,
with this new quarterback in.
for sure, for sure. And I don't think Jared Goff is cutting it right now. I mean, he's doing fine.
I think he's been a
And
lot
this is
better than
a
what people have thought, though.
yes, this has been a very high-powered offense, surprisingly high-powered. They really need to spend quite a bit of their draft capital on defensive players because this defense is horrid.
I personally think it's the scheme. I mean, they've already fired
Yeah.
their DB's coach. And I will not be surprised if there are
Hmm.
more firings to come uh,
Yeah.
because of how this season has gone.
Yeah.
Not
But
not saying I'm not
I
saying Dan
think
Campbell gets
they do
canned.
need some more. They need some more in their secondary. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
but other than that, I think they're pretty set. Um, so okay, that's enough going off on topic or off topic.
The
Yeah,
last thing I'll
that's
bring.
about it.
There's only one thing I'll bring up because our next team is the Green Bay Packers. Detroit does play Green Bay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Devondre Campbell is out. Their all pro
Mm,
middle linebacker is out, and this Packers defense has not been as good as the past couple of years.
no.
I think this could be a big Jamal Williams game just looking at all the injuries going on right now.
Yeah.
Right now, I guess the only big one that we're really looking at, Christian Watson has been limited. I don't
Yeah.
expect him to play, to be quite honest with you. I think you're going to lean more onto the Sammy Watkins, Romeo Dobbs, Randall Cobb
Hmm.
scenario. Uh, and then Alan Lazard is also questionable with a shoulder injury that's kept him out for quite a bit of time. The
I
only
think
reason,
I
yeah,
think
go ahead.
Lazard ends up playing. He was limited all week, but I think they're just so
They,
limited at
they
that
I
their
agree. I think
wide
they're
receiving
going to
core.
force Lazard to play.
I think so. I think he's going to feel obligated because it's not like they have anything. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got Dobbs and Christian Watson because Cobb is out. Cobb's on IR.
Oh, that's
So,
right. Cobb is on
yeah.
IR.
Yeah,
We
so
talked about that a couple
it's going
weeks
to
ago,
be
and I completely
interesting.
forgot.
Yeah, so they have if Lazard is out, then they just have Sammy Watkins and Romeo Dobbs and Amari Rogers, and that's it. And then their tight end.
Good luck.
Yeah. Um, I do want to say, this is about more about our news from this week. So if any of you have missed that episode, it was
It
posted what
is.
2 days ago,
It was. No,
a
it
couple
was
of days ago.
post. Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah, so it was posted a couple of days ago. Go check it out. But I have an addition to that. I am so surprised that Green Bay did not get any wide receiving help for Rodgers.
So
I'm
I
so
have
surprised.
a theory for that. I have a theory.
Okay, go
It's
ahead.
some. It's. I think it's the. So because I'll even add, I'm surprised the Rams didn't make a move,
Yeah.
but I think it's because both teams finally admitted they are not one player away from getting this thing fixed. And that's where they go, we kind of need to hold on to all the draft capital.
Yeah.
The big thing you also have to remember, I believe Green Bay gets a first and second round this next draft as well because of the Devontae Adams trade.
Mm.
I really do think if they don't do receiver, then all the hate the Ravens have had for not emphasizing the receiver position, please throw onto Green Bay.
Yeah, it
Because
will be. There will be
yeah,
shame
yeah,
because
absolute shame because that's
there
just
is a
negligence.
yeah, exactly. There is a glaring hole in this offense. A very obvious neglect from the coaching, well, not necessarily the coaching staff, but GM, I'd say.
Yeah, Goody.
And yeah, I there is very serious neglect. So,
Yeah, I think they
uh,
either like highly valued Christian Watson, and I think he's had a learning curve unlike any other of the players besides Trey Lance.
yeah.
And so I think sometimes it's like you think this is going to work on paper, and then sometimes it doesn't. But yeah,
Yeah.
it does. I think they it's because they realize a lot of their problems cannot be solved. For the Rams, it's the O line, and then for Green Bay, I just say it's not enough dynamic players. Like Devontae, I
Well, and the
think
Rams
Devontae
are also
Adams
lacking a good running
running
back
backs.
too.
Yeah, that's true. Or healthy running backs.
Oh, by
You
the
know what?
way,
Both are true.
yeah, by the way, Akers is apparently back in the good graces and getting ready to play again for the Rams after
We'll
they said
see
he
what
will,
happens.
yeah, after them, the organization and him both said he's not going to play for us ever again.
I
It's
mean,
looking like it.
here's the thing.
So,
I mean, things can change,
yeah.
but
I don't know how they'd change
yeah.
that much in such a short time, but apparently fences were mended and he might be playing as a Ram again out there on the field.
But he
So
will not be playing in
moving,
your lineups because you are not that desperate.
no, not that
Let's
desperate. Do
see.
not do
Next
that.
team, I mean Houston Texans, they played Thursday,
Yes,
so that one's kind of
Nico.
done. So
Yeah, Nico Collins was out, surprising,
yeah,
and
Nico
Brandon
was
Cooks.
yeah. So well, Brandon Cooks is because I would not be surprised Brandon Cooks is gonna have either a buyout or he's going to get released. Very interesting to see what happens.
Really,
He was very upset he did not get traded. It
really.
sounded like there was I thought Rams, but there was another team involved. I don't remember which team off the top of my head, but
What if
there
it was
was
Green
another.
Bay?
I think they offered, but the Rams, not the Rams, the Texans weren't taking because I think a lot of people kind of lowballed offers, and then
Hmm.
literally the funny enough, the Claypool trade and the Christian Kirk trade have completely upended the wide receiver market.
Yeah,
I mean, Christian Kirk getting 72 million, that really, I mean, that caused a Debo issue, that caused
yeah,
so many other things.
yeah,
And then now Claypool being traded for essentially a top 40 pick because it was the Bears pick and not the Ravens pick. That does throw things for a loop,
yeah,
honestly. And so, like that, I think that was a big reason why, like Brandon Cooks, Jerry Judy, a lot of the other receivers that we talked about, and I would even include Elijah Moore in that category, didn't get traded because
yeah.
the asking price just shot up out of nowhere.
Mm, man, that's yeah.
It's been crazy. This week's been
The wide
crazy,
receiver
honestly.
market. Yeah, I think everything is becoming more expensive.
Yeah.
Inflation is hitting all of
Yeah,
us.
inflation's hitting
No.
all of us. Do we also have a supply chain crisis at the receiver position? You know what?
Yes.
No.
I
Yeah.
would say yes.
Come back to our preview episode because I want to talk about that as our big dynasty question next week.
Okay,
Um,
let's do that. Let's do it. Put a pin in that
yeah, we'll put
till
the pin
our
in that.
yeah, till our preview. So, moving on to the Colts. I'm looking on here. I'm not seeing much other than Zach
JT,
Moss.
JT's the
Oh,
big one.
JT. Yeah. Sorry, JT was out at the bottom.
Yep.
So Deion Jackson is a
Pick him
lock
up,
this
please.
week. Last time he took all the snaps, he was like what 30 plus points. He was
Something of
yeah,
he was very good. I will check
he
that.
showed up and showed out. Like that man was a beast. I think he caught 10 passes. Like 10 passes out of the backfield that week.
Deion
So
Jackson, right? All right. So his big game, 31 points, 12 carries for 42 yards, but 10 targets, 10 catches for
yeah.
79.
So he wasn't really impressive on the ground, but in the air, he was crazy good.
With Ellinger, I do think this does become an interesting play
Mm-hmm.
because they really did completely switch up the style. And but again, it's against New England. It's going to be a tough matchup, but they're
Yeah.
going to have to rely on him to make this work, especially with the Zach Moss, Naeem Hines trade as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he might Zach Moss might be involved. He
I
might
would
be
not a
involved
lot,
this
but he'll
week.
be involved a bit.
Yeah, because he was a DMP on Wednesday. Obviously, that's he was traveling to Indianapolis, but he was a full participant on Thursday and Friday. So I don't know if 3 days are enough to get I don't know, get used to the playbook, get used to the play style, all of that. So he might be out this week, but with JT out, there's a significant chance he sees some
Playing
possibly
time.
early down work, downhill running type stuff. Um, that's there may be a chance for that.
Yeah, there
So
definitely may be a chance.
let's go on to well,
The
this is a short list, but the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's one
Jamal
person,
Agnew,
Jamal Agnew. Not really fantasy relevant, but that's it.
questionable.
Uh,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Uh,
go ahead with
next,
the Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs. Personally, my really nothing to take note of. I mean, Joe Fortson is out versus Tennessee, but I wasn't paying too much attention there. But Cole
Yeah,
Hardman and Jarrett McKinnon were full participants on Friday, which means both of them are most likely playing. On
and
top of that,
McDuffie is back.
yeah, McDuffie is back. They had the bye week last week.
Yeah, yeah. So they all got rested up, and nobody's on the injury list. Well, they are on the injury list, but they're not
They will
carrying
be
any
playing.
status. Yeah,
They will be playing
they'll be
unless
playing.
something really weird happens.
Mm-hmm. And so, moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Really, only I
That's
would
it.
say
Yeah.
two names. Because Devontae has been a full participant since Thursday
Mhm.
and Friday. I think he's good to go and playing.
And mhm.
Matt Collins has been limited all week. Wednesday,
Yeah,
Thursday, Friday with a heel injury, so keep an eye on that.
yeah, but
And
he's
then,
carries no designation in there, so that's good. At least for
so that is
today,
good.
they they don't think he's questioned for tomorrow.
Yeah, the big one is Darren Waller. He does have a designation as questionable. He's been limited all week with a hamstring, and we all know hamstring injuries. Good luck trying to figure that out. So I think that could be a very good play. They are playing Jacksonville, so I expect this to be a
Mhm.
big Josh Jacobs game anyway. But if you need a tight end from this game, or on the Raiders specifically, usually it's been Foster Moreau as the top target
Yeah.
after Darren Waller.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I don't see him. I don't know. I don't see him being out this week, Darren Waller. But
They
there's a possibility.
they're
So
getting to a point of desperation where
yeah,
they're like, we need to play everyone because we need to figure this out. And they're like 2-5,
yeah.
2-6. They've had their struggles this year.
They definitely have. So we'll see that on Sunday. See, just check in at 10:30 because
Yep.
is this a noon game? Do you know
It
that?
is an early is an
It is an
after
early.
early afternoon game.
Okay, so yeah, check in at 10:30 a.m. an hour and a half before the game start, and you'll see him whether or not he's playing. So moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers. Keenan Allen is officially out. So is
Yeah,
Dustin Hopkins.
Yeah, well, there's bigger
And
issues.
yeah,
Obviously, Mike Williams,
Mike Williams
four
is
to
out.
6 weeks, but Parham out as well. So that's just Gerald Everett all over.
Hmm.
Hopkins out. I mean, obviously, Keenan Allen is the most frustrating out of this.
Yeah.
Largely because Keenan Allen has had this hamstring injury since week 1 and just has not worked as well as everyone would hope for. This was the perfect time to get Keenan Allen like back out there ready to go. But if this hamstring is not responding the way it goes, this is very much a Josh Palmer game.
Yeah.
Basically, out of default, this is war of attrition mode for the Chargers. He did have a concussion, I believe, last year, the week before. He's been a full
Hmm.
participant, so I will be shocked if he doesn't play.
Okay. Okay. We'll see tomorrow. They're very limited at wide receiver right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Um, moving on to the Los Angeles Rams. Cam Akers, like we said earlier, Cam Akers back in the building for them. Uh, he was a DMP on Wednesday, and that's kind of when the news broke that
Yeah.
they're mending fences and he's going to be getting back to practice. And sure enough, Thursday, Friday, he had a full participation in practice. Two other two other names on here, both wide
I think
receivers. Van
I think
Jefferson was limited all week
yep.
and carries a questionable tag. But the big name here is Cooper Cup. He was a
And you
DMP.
saw the end of the game. It did
Mhm.
not look very good when it
Yeah,
came to Cooper Cup. So that happened at the very end.
yeah,
This is kind of where my fear is, and this is why I was saying sell high on Cooper Cup.
hmm,
And it was just because he was getting used and used and used and used because there was no other option.
yeah,
Which at least last year was good because at least Robert Woods either showed up or Odell showed up, and they had a bit more of a competent of a running game. But
hmm,
now with Cooper Cup basically as the de facto only option, I expect Van Jefferson to play out of sheer necessity.
yeah.
And Cooper Cup is someone to keep your eye on.
I
Again,
think
this is
he,
why I trade
I think
him
he's gonna
earlier.
play,
Yeah, I think
but
both will play, but you need to keep your eye on if you see
mhm,
any discomfort or any issues going forward.
yeah, just be aware of that as a Cooper Cup owner.
Yep.
All right. So, do you want to? You get to take the Dolphins. You get them.
Oh yeah, because half the team is on the injury report.
It is
So
a
let's
laundry
go through
list.
it because oh
Yeah.
my goodness, this is quite a few. So Waddle had a shoulder injury, but has been a full participant all week. I think he's good. Dermot Smythe has been limited, potentially playing, but they have enough tight ends to where if he doesn't, I think he'll be okay. This is also against Chicago.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert has basically rested this entire week. And I do think this is important to note because that also might mean they're keeping maintenance on him, but also explains the Jeff Wilson trade.
Yeah.
So, uh, so
They
there's
have been
that
leaning on him a lot the last couple of weeks.
a lot. Austin Jackson is that was limited on Friday. He is doubtful versus Chicago. Most likely, he probably doesn't play. But it would be my
Hmm.
guess. And really, the only one you have to really kind of look for is Terran Armstead. He is questionable right now. He's been limited Thursday, Friday. If he has any limited or full participant on Saturday, that will basically mean he's playing. But we do not have that info yet.
Man, what are you
Um,
talking about? Their best player is out.
oh
River
boy,
Craycraft. Come on.
look, come on, River.
Oh man, after that laundry list of Dolphins players, we get my favorite team, the
At least
Minnesota Vikings. The only one we have out is Dalvin Tomlinson. Um, he actually won an award this week uh, for some sort of community outreach that he did. I don't know.
nice.
Yeah, that's just extra flavor in there for you, just to get to know Dalvin. But
But unfortunately, he's out.
yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to be playing this week. Um, so let's go in. That's about it on when it comes to fantasy relevant players. Thielen was
Thielen's
on the injury
playing
report, but he's
basically
playing. He was a full participant all week. And Jalen Naylor, he's not really, he's
fantasy
not really fantasy
relevant.
relevant right
Period.
now, unless
Uh,
one of them goes down. Yeah, go ahead with
New
the
New
Patriots.
England Patriots. David Andrews, their starting center, out. Uh, and then let's see I say that's a big one personally, just because Patriots care about O line quite a bit. Damian Harris has been limited all week with an illness and carries a questionable
Mm,
designation. And then let's see, Devin McCourty resting. Devontae Parker has been listed as out. So Kendrick Bourne, Nelson Aguilar, those are going to be your main guys. Pierre Strong has been limited all week with a hamstring, and I
yeah,
don't know how he got a hamstring. Actually, probably during practice, I guess.
yeah.
But that's basically it on the big people. Damian Harris,
So
I mean,
I
it's
think
it's Ramondre's team.
yeah, I was gonna say. So do you think Damian Harris, his illness is he's sick of seeing all of his snaps go to Ramondre?
I mean, I would be sick to my stomach seeing that. Uh,
Sounds like it. Sounds like
yeah, it
it.
sounds like it, but we are in
uh,
I tried to think of
we
a
are in the
pun right there and
Ramondre
I couldn't.
Stevenson era. We
We are
are.
in the Ramondre
I
season era.
I am very happy about that. As a Ramondre Stevenson owner, I have waited patiently behind Damian Harris, and when he got injured, I was like, it's time.
Yeah, literally. I
So
mean, that's what a bunch of us is like. Hey, this is the year. This
yeah,
is the
this is
year,
the year, especially
and
with Damian Harris
being
being a
on the
free
rookie
agent.
contract too.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
being a
was the
free
big
agent
thing.
next year.
I
That's why
really
I
thought
sold him.
I really thought there was a chance he got
Yeah,
traded as the surprise player, but that ended up being Calvin Ridley, to be quite honest with you.
yeah.
Let's go next. So wow, there was actually quite a few on the injury report. I did not realize. Mark Ingram out for the
Mhm.
New Orleans Saints. Jarvis Landry is questionable, has been limited all week. Eric McCoy is playing, but Marshawn Lattimore's out,
Yep.
which that saves the
Again,
Ravens
right?
quite a bit.
He
Yeah,
was out
I
last
think
week
again
too.
with abdomen. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
And then the big one, obviously here, Michael Thomas is out for the year. That's painful. It's honestly
Just
painful.
let him go. Just let the
I
man
well,
go. You're
they are
you're you're
in.
torturing fantasy managers everywhere
I think.
because
I mean, you have. I mean, as a fantasy manager, jump ship, just jump ship, jump ship, jump ship.
like you're
He
lucky
should.
to get, a fifth round pick out of him
You
now.
you were lucky to get literally valued this year. Like
Yeah.
he had a couple good games, but I do think whatever happened. I mean, this is unfortunately a true injury like situation. This injury. Here's what sucks: the injury came up during the COVID year, week one of the COVID season, and this is what I'm kind of scared to figure out is how much did that weird COVID season impact the NFL. Like I think
Yeah.
it impacted Christian Watson and Trey Lance because they didn't even get to play.
Mhm.
I know I've heard Patrick Queen and Ayuk talk about how weird uh their mini camp was because they really couldn't see anybody while they're dealing with it. And then I think you go with Michael Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, and just all the injuries that popped up because their entire routine was completely and their structure was completely changed and flipped
Yeah.
upside down.
Yeah. Man.
So
Just to see right now what they're paying him.
yeah, and the Saints are in, for lack of a better word, cap hell.
It's
And
6%
unfortunately,
of their overall cap.
yeah,
6.3% is what
they
they're
may get
paying him.
lucky. They are going to get lucky by the salary cap boom, but we've already seen the repercussions of their all in moves. Like
Yeah.
they had to let Marcus Williams walk. They had to let Chauncey. They had to trade Chauncey Gardner Johnson.
Yeah.
So
And
there's been quite a few moves to where they have just not been able to recover.
yeah, that's just, oh man, that hurts.
Yeah,
That hurts, man.
yeah,
Oh,
it's rough to
so
see.
yeah, so let's go ahead and move
To the
on
New
to the
York, speaking of rough to
Jets
see, the New York Jets, Corey Davis is out, which is
and
Garrett
James
Will
Robinson is questionable. So
questionable, but he hasn't really had a designation Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They say it's a knee. Oh, actually, no, if I'm not mistaken, he was a late addition to the injury
yeah,
report. Is that right?
he was yesterday,
Yeah,
I
that's
believe.
bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
So it could be Michael Carter and Ty Johnson like it was
So
last year, and
you think
then Garrett
Jacksonville's
Wilson.
over there going, "Mwah, ha, 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 ha. I
They're
traded
probably
traded an injured player."
I, I this James Robinson is a dude I think has more value in the fantasy community than the NFL community.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
really think that is because I think, like, don't get me wrong, good player. He is a good player, but he literally won teams, fantasy managers leagues because of the volume.
Yeah.
But it, I don't know how what to say, whether like how much of an impact did he have as far as game planning. But I do know he was a really good power back. But besides that, I don't know anything else afterwards. Let's see. Philadelphia Eagles, they played on Thursday, so we're not going to go through there. Seattle Seahawks. The big one, Marquise Goodwin, out with a groin injury. And Lockett, a hamstring ribs, has been full participant the last 2 days. DK
Hmm.
Metcalf has had a knee injury, but he's a full participant the last 2 days, and he even played last week. And that,
That's about it. Yeah.
yeah, Noah Fant is a full participant, so I'm assuming he plays. But Noah Fant
Hmm.
has been basically doing a disappearing act, and he's very good at it. So
Oh, the Bucks, man. The Bucks are hard to look at right now.
oh yeah, this is
A
tough.
lot of people out. Cameron Brate out. So if you
Yeah,
are a Kate
Kate,
Oton, Kate
keep going to
Oton,
him.
yes. Wait, is it Oton or Otten?
Oton Otten. I have no idea, to be
Otten?
honest.
Cade
I would love to
Otten. There
get,
we go. Let's go with
man,
Otten.
allergies.
So, Cade Otten owners, if you can, pick him up. Do it
Yeah,
because I think he's going to be
I
utilized
think that
there.
it's also a very sneaky good tight
Mhm.
end fantasy option, because right now your option is like Evan Ingram and
Yeah.
a flash pan of the week.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Um, Evans was and limited Wednesday and Thursday and a DMP on Friday, but he
So
carries no designation. So,
and the injury I'm reading is ankle, but
yeah.
also not injury related, resting player.
So it might have been limited because of the ankle on Wednesday and Thursday and a
And then
DMP because they
just
were
to rest
resting.
him up. That
So,
I think that's the best way to look at it.
yeah.
Julio Jones has been a full participant the
Yeah.
last two.
He's probably going to end up playing. Gage is out. He was a DMP all week.
Yep.
So he is out.
And then
And
Antoine Winfield
yeah,
also out. And on top,
star, man. His rookie year. I
yeah,
swear the Vikings should have picked him up. He's a legacy.
yeah, that would
Oh,
have been a legacy.
oh man.
But I would say even scarier, Luke Godeke out versus LA. And there is a certain man on the LA Rams that is probably the greatest defensive player, at least within the modern era. His name is Aaron Donald. And yeah, you kind of need
Yeah,
your O line to block him.
a little bit.
So yeah, just a little bit. Going on to Tennessee.
Yeah, the
Um,
Titans.
really, I mean, I guess the weird one would be Derrick Henry was on here, but I think it's just rest. So
Yeah.
good there. Actually, I stand corrected. The weird one is Tannehill. Now,
Hmm.
Tannehill he was a limited on Wednesday, a DNP on Thursday, and a limited on Friday with this ankle injury. Questionable versus Kansas City. based on what they did last week, I think the Tennessee went, look, we kind of need you for KC. We really don't need you for Houston. We'll let
Yeah.
Malik Willis start versus Houston so you can start versus KC. That's my guess on how they took that game.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be, I think it'll be very interesting if Tannenhill is out. So that is something you need to check and
Hmm.
definitely have a, I would say, this specifically an afternoon um, backup option. The
Yeah.
reason why is because the Tennessee Titans playing the Chiefs is a Sunday night game, which means if you don't have a pivot from Tannehill, you are kind of stuck figuring out Saints or Ravens
Yes.
afterwards.
Have your
So,
backup ready.
yep, have your pivot option ready.
Or
And
just
then,
or pivot ahead of time. Like
yeah,
just do it now and just say
and just live with
screw
what
it.
happens. You're just
Yeah.
gonna have to do that.
Sometimes you have to make those kind of decisions in fantasy. So moving on to our last
Final,
team of the day. Last team, the Washington Commanders. Uh
yep,
Jahan Dotson,
out
he's out
again.
officially. JD McKissick
This
out.
is the big one.
Yeah,
McKissick
with a
being out, I do think opens the door for Gibson to take all of the work,
yeah,
as
all of the
far as
passing work. Yeah.
all of the passing work. So I think
Because Brian
Antonio Gibson.
Robinson. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, well, all right, I'm getting to the point that you were about to
Yeah.
make, and I think you and I are on the same page. For some reason, whoever starts for the Washington football master and commanders does not get any passing work whatsoever. It is
Yeah.
always the presumed backups. I
Yeah.
have no idea why that's the case, but
I
Brian
think they
Robinson for
I
go
think
ahead.
they are like they're going with the system of we need a running guy and a passing guy. They don't it's like black and white. It's like oil and water. They one guy is for passing, one guy is for running.
And it
And I
makes no
think they're
sense to
sticking
me.
to it. I know.
It
It
makes no sense.
it's a
Then
true
don't
committee. It is.
do not draft Brian Robinson. If that's the case. That's because the thing is
I've
Brian.
never seen a starting running back that is not at least on somebody's roster, but he is not.
Yeah, dude, I dropped him
Yeah,
because he was
everybody
just
has.
being used to run the ball. But then in preseason, he's out here getting running back screens, and
Well, and he's
he
barely
run.
normally when it's like that, when they're a purely rushing uh, running back, they're getting goal line work and touchdowns. That's what keeps their fantasy value alive. He's not getting that.
So it's like, what are you out here for?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
but and like and the thing is, like obviously the counter argument is, what about Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb? And I was like, yeah, but they're ripping off 30-yard runs
Yeah,
just
exactly.
in the blink of an eye. And they get so much volume to where it offsets. But
Hmm.
this is where again I don't understand what they're doing. Now, has Brian Robinson opened things up for Gibson? That's that's on the table, to be honest. And that's something I did not expect going into and hearing all the news in training camp about Gibson. But it is nonetheless weird. It is
Yeah,
nonetheless more confusing to think about.
it is. So that is pretty much it.
Yeah,
I don't really have anything else to talk about.
that
Um,
is pretty much it. I am going to double check Sleeper one more time to
yeah.
make sure we don't have any news. Yeah,
Well,
no,
while you're
that's
doing
it.
that, please like and subscribe this YouTube channel and this video gets the algorithm. It helps us with views and getting more people onto the site, which will allow us to do more stuff. And shoot, I mean, if I could quit my job and run run this full time, that would be a dream job. Just talk fantasy football all day, huh, Josh? But
Oh,
it would be
absolutely.
amazing. But please like and subscribe our YouTube channel and follow us on all of our social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Last Place FP. So thank you guys for listening, and we will have our review up by Monday.
Yep. And we will see y'all very soon. Good luck to everyone dealing with week 9.
Mm.
Also, I think we do have a small surprise for you, but let's just say it does concern with a period of weeks later down in the as the season progresses. So we will be putting that up pretty soon for you as well. But yeah, quite a few injuries today, Ryan. But
Yeah. Oh, and y'all, please don't be afraid to ask us questions on our social media page or even on this YouTube
yes,
channel. Just
I will.
we encourage it. We love, getting people commenting, sending us DMs, about lineup questions, all of that. So don't be
Yeah,
afraid to do that. We love
definitely
doing it.
don't be afraid. And actually, what I'm about to say next kind of breaks the whole like crypticness of what I was saying earlier. But we will be having a playoff preview
Yeah.
pretty soon, and especially when it comes to lineup questions or anything like that, like literally all for for what me, Ryan, and Ethan do, we do get a lot of questions as far as who to start, coming from friends like or family who are involved in fantasy.
Or
So
coworkers.
yeah, or coworkers exactly. So we like to bring that to you as well. So don't be afraid. We are active on Sunday, without a doubt.
Yeah.
All righty. And so with that in mind, thank you again for listening to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast to Week 9 injuries. And we will see y'all with our Week 9 review very soon.
See you guys.